All right, guys, so this will be how to beat 50 NL zone. Just playing a little bit lower stakes today for those that re requested it, and just showing that these stakes you don't have to play any incredible strategy. It's just really easy and simple. A lot easier and a lot simpler than 500 or even 1K NL. And just kind of doing what's logical and what makes sense, and knowing that your opponents won't punish you too much. So here versus the limp, I'm just going to raise wide. Knowing that this guy's not going to 3-bet me enough. And here with the 658, just checking back because this low board is a lot better for the cutoff. Not too concerned about like, oh, like balancing or whatever. Just be like, yep, this board's bad for us. We're going to check back. Here, just calling again with the gut shot to the 7 versus half pot. Can't fold once you have the gut shot. And that'll allow us to have some bluffs if he checks the river, but he doesn't check. He bets, so we can just fold. It's going to be about a half-hour video. I'm just trying to keep these a little bit on the shorter side. Also be trying to come out with these a little bit more regularly. Here, queen on off, you can just fold it. Playing a little bit tighter pre-flop because of the poor rate structure. And also playing very aggressive. So here, like this is some like low stake stuff that you won't see at higher stakes, just like the call, the raise, call, 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 call. And yeah, just putting in the squeeze. Putting in the squeeze to punish all these guys. Lots of dead money in the pot that we're just going to pick up quite easily. And when people 4-bet, just knowing here at these low stakes that people aren't 4-bet bluffing it off, and so we can just let it go. Like in theory, that's a hand that probably has to call, but I'm just going to say, hey, like you're not 4-bet bluffing enough. I'm just going to fold. Not stressing too much about getting exploited at these stakes, just kind of folding and getting out of the way when people put a lot of money in and being very aggressive yourself. Putting in wide 3-bets, blind versus blind. His range is very wide and weak, so putting some 3-bets in with these junky hands. I'm making a call over here. Ah. Ooh. Oh, oh God. Just choosing the aggressive line here with our open ender. Getting the fold. And once again, choosing the aggressive line with our suited connector. Always choosing the aggressive line because people are going to overfold and they're not going to punish you for being overly aggressive. Because the solution to an opponent that's overly aggressive is to be even more aggressive yourself, and most people at these stakes aren't gonna realize that. So we 3-bet, get the ace high board, and just realizing that hey, this board is good for us, so we just start off with a bet. Um, yeah, and here with just absolutely nothing, I'm going to just check it back and try to bluff rivers. Not gonna be bluffing this river though. It's kind of a nut low river for us. Yeah, here are 3 ways, just folding the ace 10. Getting out of the way here. And that's basically it, just looking to play some solid pre-flop hands. Playing hands that make sense, playing hands that are solid. Not doing anything too crazy. Yeah, just you'll see a lot of multi-way pots and these lower stakes. Queen 10 off is just a little bit too loose to open out of the gun. Yep, and it's not playing like people very often have the impression that like, oh, like this play doesn't work because I'm playing low stakes and people get crazy. Um, and that's just very simply a fallacy. Like people, if people are going to overcall, they're going to overcall. If people are going to overfold, they're going to overfold. Like all the mistakes at lower and high stakes are the same mistakes. It's just the degree that's different. Like low stakes players and high stakes players will make the same mistakes. It's just that lower players will make the same mistake often, more often, and the mistake will be to a greater degree. So you're not actually playing against different different mistakes. It's just the same shit, but yes, like the mistakes are going to be magnified. That being said, mistakes are mistakes, and the exploits of mistakes are generally all the same. Here, once it checks back, I'm going to go for the thin value bet with the jack, just knowing that if he had a queen or better, he would bet it himself. And I'm just going for the 4-bet here. Ace queen offsuit, pretty standard 4-bet out of position. On this board, I'm actually just going to do a lot of checking. He's going to call our 4-bet with a lot of hands like ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, pocket 10s, pocket jacks. So it's actually a pretty bad board for our 4-bet range. I mean, it's not great. So we're just going to go check, check. And just checking again here. This, with the 7-6-7 checking back kings sometime, actually, we can't always bet our high overpair, so we're just going to check it back this time. And once it checks down to the river, I'm pretty confident he doesn't have a king, so I'm just going to go for like a very small block bet. I'm just trying to milk some value out of a hand like ace jack or ace 10. Hmm. Okay, with king it's just calling here, but I think I'm actually going to call down the ace queen. It just doesn't seem like he would check back any sort of king X holding. And that's the kind of like big read and exploit you can make at these stakes. People are just too excited to go for the value bet, and once they check back, like they really are just capped. Um, just the very simple logic of if he had a king, he would bet the turn. Once he turned the two pair here, just going to go for the value raise versus the recreational player. He's recreational because he cold called the small blind and he's short stacked. Just gonna go for the turn value raise. And just putting it in on a brick, or I guess if he jams. Yep, his hand. Just calling this hand three ways. And small c betting here. I'm just gonna check raise this one with the backdoor flush draw to the jack. Uh, Basically just repping a jack X ourselves and shutting down if any of these guys call. Here versus the river stab, just very clean call with the ace after we check back. And versus this flop 3-bet, we just have a super easy fold. Let's see what's going on here. Hmm, that's suspicious. I suspect that might be two people possibly colluding. Folding the king queen off versus hijack would be 3-betting versus cutoff, but just folding versus hijack. Ace queen 9 is not a great board for actually it can be. I'm just gonna put in the call here. I think we're a little bit too shallow versus this guy to start raising. I think if we start raising, he could just put it in and blow us off our equity. But here, once we turn the flush, just very straightforward, jamming with the flush, like not thinking too hard about our bluffs, just being like, oh, we have a value hand. This guy's probably a fish, just putting it in. Like just very, 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 very straightforward. Versus this guy who paused the flop. I'm just gonna let it go here. Yeah, that fold on the flop there was definitely exploitable, but like it's just somebody who showed strength. They bet pot. They're saying like, oh, like I have a good hand, and I'm just gonna choose to believe them, and that's basically it. Like you do not have to worry about exploitability or anything like that at these stakes, man. Like everyone sucks, everyone's exploitable. Just letting go of the king eight. Just putting this three bet with tens. Yeah, like this is kind of like low stakes stuff that you won't see at higher stakes, just like raise, call, 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 call. But it's good because we get to punish that with a big raise. Yeah, there's kind of a little mid raise here with the ace five. Just calling because we have good odds and we're in position. And when you squeeze, you just always want to take it down pre-flop. Like taking down pre-flop, rig free is always just going to be better. Okay, just gonna peel one here with the ace five versus half pot. We have some backdoor stuff. Um, yeah, okay. And this is just like a case of like he checks, so we start betting. People are gonna balance their ranges out. Yeah, just defending this, very standard. Um, honestly, here versus the short stack, I'm just gonna get it in here. Like we don't ever see a turn that's good for us. He bet big. He's saying he has like a pair or something. Calling here with the ace queen. And just checking it back, knowing that we probably have the best hand the majority of the time. And just fold with this turn bet. Just gonna pause the video real quick, use the washroom, and I will be right back. Actually, we'll play this ace four here. Got a playable hand. Yeah, once again, entering the pot as a squeeze. And just c-betting small, hoping to take it down. Here, I'm just going to triple barrel through, knowing that we have the ace-queen advantage. He's very going to rarely have ace-queen. And I'm just sizing in a way that just lets me shove the river. People have this fallacy of like, oh, you're not supposed to bluff at low stakes. Well, that's not true. Like people will overfold pretty much everywhere. Ooh, do I still get to bluff this one? Hmm. I think probably. I'm actually not too sure about this, but I think we have the ace queen advantage, and it's fine that we just go for it. If he had a queen, he would have called by now. So this is good news that he's taking. As we get it through. This guy bet the flop big and bet the turn small. I don't really know what to make of this. So and we're just gonna go by the rule of people show weakness and we attack. So he's betting the turn small, so I'm just gonna raise. Oh, well. Okay, so what I'm actually thinking here is that with this SPR, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna put it in like very, very straightforward. Just like I was debating just checking, but um, people are going to be not as aggressive as they should. So betting is going to be fine. Yeah, and you might ask like, oh, like why not go smaller to get value? Well, that isn't really a thing as long as you're bluffing appropriately. Um, if you're bluffing appropriately, you don't really want to go small. You want to go larger so you can put more bluffs into your range while remaining balanced. So basically, there, like I'm just like shipping it in with any sort of bluff I had on the turn, and just being happy that he's going to lose against my bluffs if he always folds. Checking back and just letting it go here. So this is bad board for us. He's gonna call a lot of on the 7, 8, 6. Yeah, he's gonna call a lot of like pocket eights, pocket sevens, pocket sixes. So it's bad for us, and we're just going to play passively. And we're going to squeeze the king nine here. This the 10-7, just checking it back and taking showdown. And on here the K9, I'm actually gonna give this one up. It's just a really, really bad board for us. We're just not too happy about it. Yeah, just gonna keep checking. The SPR is too low for us to do anything. If they check to the river though, I am going to bluff shove. But yeah, here just getting out of the way. Continue to check here with our ace queen. This is not a good turn for us. He's gonna be very condensed around the Broadway region. But too soon to fold, so just gonna call one and see what happens. Nice river. Yeah, I'm just gonna put in the mid race here, try to milk him for some value. I don't really expect him to call this very often without a queen though. Okay, never mind. Low stakes. Same deal here. We three bet, and on this board he's gonna call of sevens, tens, nines, stuff like that. So just checking it back because the board's bad for us. Board bad equals doing a lot of checking. We would be checking back our overpairs here on the 10s of a 9 as well, so to make sure we're defending on the turn. Yeah, just letting it go. Yep, here, same deal, just putting in the 3-bet with our ace king and calling jack 9 off 3 ways. Hmm. I think once we get this turn, we just have to give it up. This low SPR, I don't think we really get to just shove here. I could see it, but I think recreational might call a little bit too often. So it's gonna check fold. Just gonna cancel the bathroom break. Real degens hold it in. Same deal here, just choosing the aggressive option. We could call, we could 3-bet, but because it's lower stakes, we just want to choose the aggressive option and 3-bet. And that's really just the biggest exploit. Like, you can always just pick the higher EV aggressive option, and people won't know how to punish you for it. And you also save yourself rake. Here, just put it in the 4-bet, I think. I think this side should be good. Yeah, very straightforward and simple. Full in these low pocket pairs because they're not good to play. I'm putting in the 3-bet here versus this button raise. He's going to be raising wide to isolate the fish, so we can punish him by being extra aggressive. Yeah, just starting off, small bet, hoping for a 10. The snap raise is very suspicious to me. Very, 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 very suspicious to me. It, yeah, like I think if he had a sort of value hand, he would how should I say, he would think a little bit more. And so once we turn the jack here, I'm going to go for the turn lead because this turn actually brings in the advantage for us. It brings in the advantage for all of our turnover pairs. Once we call, we now have the nuts advantage. And we river the queen, which is nice, so we can shove for value here. Oh, he just has kings. Interesting. Interesting and unexpected, but that's all right. When he raises the flop there, he's mostly repping a jack, but once the jack comes in, it's just not very likely that he has any sort of jack. And so that means we, with the overpair advantage, just like have the better range on the turn third jack, given that we have the boat advantage. Not sure if that makes any sense. That is one thing about low stakes. People will show up occasionally with hands that you don't expect them to, like kings. But it's really not that big of a deal over the long term. Very annoying in the short term, though. Like kings there should have been a 4-bet for him, but it just is what it is. Checking here to check call with our 2-pair and royal draw. Yeah, just very standard check call turn, check fold river. Definitely making sure to check call some king X here as well. and just fold at the river if he shoves. Once it checks down, I'm going to bluff this. It's quite strong, but I think we can get him off his like low pair or whatever. Yes, we do win sometimes when it goes check check, but that's the beauty of low stakes. You can make bluffs that you shouldn't and just get people off marginal hands. A lot of short stackers here. You don't see this at higher stakes. A lot of short stackers. So here with the value hand, what I'm actually going to do, even though the board's good for us, I'm actually going to check, just trusting that the recreational player is going to spew too often and just put in money with hands that he shouldn't. And once we check, we just have an easy check shove. Yeah. He folds, which is okay. That means he just had nothing anyways, and we got that flop stab. Versus min raise, I'm just going to call once. Just, yeah, floating a lot of stuff versus the min raise, looking to outplay him on turns. But he bets, so just, we can let it go. Okay, just opening this up. Very standard. Just going for the high frequency small C bet. Yeah, people always think that low stakes is different from higher stakes, and the real difference is that occasionally, sometimes people will show up with hands that they shouldn't, but it's really not as big of a deal as you think, because you have a bias there where you only see it when they do get to showdown, and you don't see it all the times where they just like get a nonsense hand to the flop and fold the flop. Um, and those times add up. Those times add a lot to your EV, but you will only see the times where it gets a showdown and they just have like a random two pair or something. It's actually a gift that people play pre-flop poorly. Not a curse. Okay, so we're coming up on 30 minutes, and I'm just gonna play another orbit or two and then cut it. We'll be making more of an effort to post these more regularly. Okay, I'm just gonna sit out next big blind on both tables and just play until we're there. Notice how often we're taking it down with the small C bet. Um, yeah, just people really, really overfolding at these stakes. Okay, perfect. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.